In today's session, we're talking about accessible, pre recorded time based media. Time based media is being used to differentiate between audio, video, and multimedia versus static media, such as print media, digital content on the web, or visuals such as graphics or illustrations. We will also be talking about improving the accessibility of live presentations and considerations that impact both live and pre recorded media presentations. When we talk about making media accessible, it's really about presenting information so persons with disabilities can equally experience, understand, and benefit from the content. The goal is that everyone has an equal opportunity to achieve the same learning outcomes. As we talk about some of the other alternatives and way to make media accessible, consider who could be impacted if we use music to set a tone or mood in a presentation. Refer to visual aids without explanation that provide additional context or clarify or emphasize points. Rely on learning content or exercises that use visual or audible indicators or even interactive elements like a map that displays real time traffic, for example. Or another thing that we see is weather that uses video or satellite imaging. When we're talking about who accessible media benefits, alternatives for media are essential for the deaf, hard of hearing, and or blind to understand the content, but they do benefit other people as well. People who speak different languages with learning or cognitive disabilities, environments where access is impacted in areas of poor internet connectivity or high data rates. So that everyone benefits, we use an alternative for media that is accessible, and that is a text based document that conveys the same information and meaning in the same order and provides for the same learning experience. Text is an ideal format because it can be read by assistive technologies such as text to speech, screen readers, and braille displays. Because text is customizable, it supports learners with different learning needs, styles, and preferences. It can be printed, resized, searched, translated into different languages, and the font type, style, and color can be changed as well. Text-based equivalents of audio and video content contain all the details. That means that they must capture audio details that are necessary to fully engage with and understand content. So that means speech, non-speech, descriptors, and actions. It needs to describe the visual details that are necessary to engage with and understand content as well, such as graphics, settings, or backgrounds that add meaning, gestures, and expressions, which can add context to the visuals. This would include text on screen as well, such as a video title, credits, company names, anything that people are expected to read. Present information in the same sequence, and it can be edited, but if it's edited for clarity, it cannot exclude information. It must be human created or, at minimum, human edited to be accessible. It's got to be an error free version that uses proper grammar, spelling, and punctuation. If there are multiple speakers, it needs to identify speakers using something along the lines of speaker one, a name, narrator, interviewer, etc. Use text descriptions that do not rely on color, shape, size, position, or sound. In other words, don't use sensory details to describe elements. The types of text alternatives, it's really an umbrella term for the written text that is the equivalent of the non-text content. So transcripts are the equivalent of text-based versions of audio, speech, and non-speech. They can also be text-based versions for visual details. The difference with captions is that they're synchronized with media. I'll mention subtitles, although subtitles doesn't necessarily fall under the accessibility category. Subtitles translate audio into another language and are synchronized with the media as well. Generally, users watching the live or pre-recorded presentation can choose the language of choice. And audio descriptions are narrations that describe visual elements in the media. So I want to pause there before moving on. Does anyone have any questions?
Kathy.
Yes?
So for audio descriptions, like that would be like within the captions as well. Like with those, like would you be adding audio descriptions to captions?
When we're talking about audio descriptions, we are talking about those that are synchronized with the media. And it's usually a narration of the visual aspects of the recording.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? No? All right. So I'm going to flip over to a demo in FanshaweOnline. I will mention that everyone is enrolled in the AODA Accessibility Foundations course. So you should have access to this course in FOL and WIPS access content and alternatives for time-based media. Information about alternatives for time-based media is in this file, as well as who it benefits and the type of text alternatives. You will find some information about the WCAG guidelines for the time-based media, which this session is designed around. But we're going to start by talking about transcripts. And transcripts are required for pre-recorded audio only and video only media. And it has to include the equivalent details that are essential for understanding content for users. So for audio only, it's all the meaningful speech and non-speech. For video only, it's all the essential visual details that are described. When you're using or including transcripts in FanshaweOnline, one option is to provide a brief description of the audio or video to introduce it, and you could provide a link to the actual transcript. A transcript can be a verbatim transcript or a non-verbatim transcript. So you may hear those terms. All that means is that for a verbatim transcript, it would include every single piece of dialogue for audio, and that verbatim transcript would include errors, all the filler words, etc. For a non-verbatim transcript, it's an edited version of the transcript. And it can be edited to include headings, subheadings. It can include bullet points, anything that's needed to provide a cleaner view of that transcript. It doesn't have to be an actual text document. It can be a formatted Word document or a PDF document, as long as it's readable. The other way to provide a transcript for audio or video is to include the transcript right beneath the actual recording. So here I have the transcript as well, and it would be unusual to include all methods. These are options. The other option for including a transcript is to have it synchronized with the media. Synchronized with media just means that it's available in the media player itself. Now, the benefits to having it synchronized with media is that the media can be played and the text read at the same time. The transcript itself is searchable. So if I want to search for specific keywords, I can do that. This media player that I'm using here is the media player that's included with FanshaweOnline. D2L has created this media player. It is the video notes tool. So if I add video using video note, I have access to this player for the media. It's available to professors all throughout the environment wherever editing HTML is available. Then that information is stored in a media library. These videos are accessible. Students can create video notes as well through the admin tools and then through the media library. So any video created with the video note tool is available to the individual through their own personal media library.
A quick
Sorry.
question, Kathy.
Yeah.
If you're embedding or synchronizing the transcript with the audio, is it best practice then to use verbatim transcript? Like I'm trying to discern between verbatim and non-verbatim and like
Yeah.
best practice.
Yeah. So there is a little bit of, well, there are differing opinions. Let me say that. DCMP, which is Described Caption Media Program, and they are a well-known and acknowledged body that actually creates a captioning key and provides information about captions. The link to them, their site, is also available through the content here. Their research has shown that for captions, the information is best when it's edited for both clarity. It's much harder to process information that you're seeing visually on screen if it contains a lot of errors, filler words, etc. So they do say that an edited version, so a non-verbatim version, is acceptable. But the National Deaf Center and some deaf people know for them, it's best to have everything included in the transcript or the caption. If it's synchronized media, where they can also see the person speaking, they can tell when words are missing. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I just
Yeah.
thought I
Yeah.
would
So
ask, but
differences of opinion. So the other benefit to having the media here, I can search that transcript. I can view the transcript rather than the actual recording, whether that's audio or video in the media player. So I can download that as a text file or as an actual caption file, which is different in formatting. And again, text is great for transcripts, captions, audio descriptions, because the user has control over the captions. So that's the media player, and that's adding a transcript as a text-based transcript for audio or for video as well. Now, I have included a video only recording just to show the difference between the players that are available. If an instructor has added a recording, not to the media library, but instead to Kaltura, There are similar features that are available in the media player for students. And when I'm playing this video, I can see that I've added captions to this, but because it's a video only recording, of course, I'm not hearing any sound. My transcript can be synchronized with the video as well. And there are ways to do that through Kaltura. Now, here's my Kaltura player. I can also maximize this player. When I maximize the player, I also have the option to enable or disable my captions. I also have the option to modify my settings. I can select the language for my captions. I can also modify my caption settings. For each student accessing captions in FOL, they do have options to customize the way they want captions to display. And that includes, again, changing things like the size of my text. I can change the alignment if the captions are actually covering portions of the video that I can't see. I can change font color. I can change font family. So we do have a number of different options available for the caption settings in the various media players. I also have the option when I display my captions. So let me just play this here. I can access my transcript and show my transcript synchronized with the video as well. The other option I have for my transcript is that I can pop it out so that I can view my transcript and move it around so it's not covering my video as well. So there are a number of options available for students when accessing transcripts for Kaltura. Video only recordings, essentially the guidelines for that are to include a transcript. Those same requirements apply. Reference and identify, so it could be an external file. It could be available with the content, and it could be downloadable from the media player. I can also download my captions or my transcripts in here using download current transcript, or I can print them. Lots of options for media players. Captions are synchronized with the recording. So that is a requirement. If it's a caption, it's synchronized. Transcripts and captions are very similar in nature. The only difference with a transcript is whether or not it's synchronized. Someone may refer to a transcript as a caption. It means it's synchronized. And some countries simply refer to all as a subtitle if it's synchronized with the media. I just want to go through and show how we can edit captions in Kaltura. We do have access to media that's uploaded to Kaltura through the media tools and my media. To edit captions, we would select one of the recordings that we want to edit captions for and can select the actions dropdown and caption and enrich. When we select to caption and enrich, we will have a automatic generated caption available with all Kaltura recordings. As soon as a recording is created or uploaded to Kaltura, it will automatically generate captions. We can edit those automatic captions using the edit, and it will open captions in the closed caption editor. This is where people have the ability to improve the accuracy of captions by editing. So the editor allows you to search for and replace text. It also provides an option for adding a speaker to text. You can view the recording. So that helps people keep on track of actually which portion of a recording they're editing. Captions can also be downloaded from Kaltura, so people can edit captions outside of the environment. Personally, for me, if it's a long recording, I prefer to download the caption and edit the captions in Notepad or any text editor and then re-upload them. Other people prefer the synchronized method, so they can actually hear the speech while they're editing. There's no right or wrong with that. It's a preference. So once captions have been edited, which I'm just going to add a space in here, we have the option to save captions or revert back to captions. We can also select and delete captions. Just be aware that if we do, then we're leaving a bit of a hole in the video as well, where that speech was. The media library actually has very similar functionality to what we see here. Any questions on that? So I just want to pause and make sure that your questions are answered as we go through
Kathy, I
the
do have a
content.
question and maybe you'll get to it. So I'm sorry if I'm getting ahead of myself.
Oh, okay.
In terms of like familiarizing your students with the options that you selected, I'm assuming that you recommend you stay consistent with whichever option you select. Would you recommend letting students know kind of in their orientation for their course, like these are the accessibility features available to you on if you're using videos a lot, for example? This is how you can turn on closed captioning, or this is how you access the transcripts.
I would recommend that,
Okay.
right? This is something that I didn't spend a lot of time on in previous sessions, but
Mhm.
I've kind of revised the session because I don't think that professors often know what features are available. I have been introducing it, and yes, I would recommend that they go through and show students what's available. Now, as far as using just a single player for audio, video, and multimedia, I think that's really up to the professor.
Okay.
Some may have started with one tool and then moved over to another one.
Mhm.
So I would hate them to have to go through a lot of effort to revise that. The H5P, if professors are using H5P content and have they don't have captions enabled for that, it's a little bit harder to add captions because they have to use a caption file. So I've included information about H5P in this course, but I haven't been going through that option lately.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hopefully that answered the question.
It did.
Anything else before we move on to live sessions? No? For live sessions, I want to spend the majority of time on Zoom because Zoom actually has more options than Teams for accessibility. And that may be the way Teams is configured for our work environment rather than the inability to have more control over the captions. With Zoom and live sessions, we can enable captions, and I just want to go through how to do that. First off, you would sign into your Fanshawe ca.zoom.us portal. So we need to be accessing the Zoom web portal to configure any of the settings that we want to change for all of our meetings. And this is a setting that you can set up and then forget. Making modifications for captioning is done through the portal. You would scroll down to select settings, and then from settings, you would access the meeting tab. In the meeting tab, we have caption settings. Now, we can search through by using the search edit field and find our caption settings this way. Manual captions, of course, would be a preferred method for live sessions. Manual captions means that it means that someone is manually entering. So it's human generated captions for the meeting. But we don't have that availability. We currently don't have a contract with a captioning service that can do that. If you had someone in the class that would manually caption for you, that would be an option as well, because you can assign a captioner in the live session. We have given access to enable automated captions. So automated captions are automatically generated using automatic speech recognition or ASR technology. So it really does use AI to generate those captions. When we enable the automatic captioning, you may be prompted to enable the setting here before you can move into some of the options that you have. The save captions option, I would recommend that the saving of captions is restricted to the host and co-host only, so that captions can be edited for clarity and for accuracy before distributing to students. We also have an option to enable the full transcript view, and that full transcript view allows users to display a window beside the Zoom window with the actual full transcript displayed, the way you would see meeting participants displayed. And those options would be available under your closed captions options. So I'm just going to move this over here for a minute so we can see. So enabling captions will enable the show captions button in the live sessions. Once show captions is enabled, people can either click on the button to enable the captions for themselves and then select a language. So I can just enable captions to turn them on. With Zoom, once captions are enabled, people do have the ability to move their captions out of the way. And this is individual. The person on the other end, so you guys, could enable captions, and then you can do with them what you want on your screen. You'd also have the option with that full transcript to view the full transcript, which will show it in a side panel. And then, of course, that side panel can be popped out if you can get it, and then they can move it around. So it's out of the way and it's easier to view. There are a number of different caption options, and then caption settings provides the opportunity for individuals to modify the way captions are displayed as well. So you probably noticed mine were larger than yours if you turned yours on, and that's because I need larger text. So we also have options for changing the caption color and a translation color. And then we have an option to always show captions. So if I want to, I can set this on and then I can forget it. Every time I join a meeting where the individual has enabled captions here, then my captions will automatically show for me. If the professor or the employee has not enabled it here, though, the student won't be able to enable the captions on their computer. So, and that might be beneficial for privacy reasons. And that also holds true for the ability to save the captions and making sure that only hosts and co-hosts have that option. If this was a personal one-on-one meeting with, your boss, or a personal one-on-one meeting with a student, would probably want to protect everybody's privacy and restrict access to saving that caption. The other option to consider is under the settings, enabling the AI companion options. So, and there's a couple of different reasons for that. With AI companion, people don't have to focus on, and this is especially true for a person who is deaf or hard of hearing, they're already focused on the caption and the speaker. Focusing on also taking notes while they're trying to do that can be challenging. The AI companion allows the entire session to be summarized, and think in terms of how long it would take someone to read a caption file, a transcript file for an hour session or a 2-hour session. If a person can speak 150 words per minute and it's an hour session, what's that, like 9,000 words? And a person can only read a couple hundred words per minute, it's going to take them almost as long to review everything word by word in a transcript as it would to watch the recording all over again. So the AI companion provides the opportunity to provide a meeting summary. You can choose who will automatically receive the shared summary, and then you can choose to edit for accuracy and privacy, and then share that summary out as well. There's also some options that I'm not as familiar with yet, but I thought they'd just be useful to bring up. So I like the option of a recording summary with automatic chapters, smart chapters entered, and then hosts can also edit that after the fact. But so there are some options for Zoom that can improve accessibility, not just for deaf and hard of hearing, but for all users as well, right? Those transcripts are also key for persons who are blind after a meeting, so that they can go back and review that information. Lots of opportunity for improving accessibility of our live platforms as well. Just a mention of other considerations, and I did remember to go back to this, so that's good. Here's some things to consider. And I used to be really bad for this. So in my video, I didn't want to show a whole lot of my face or anything else in the video. So I'd be like this. And I would deliberately raise my desk so that, I was only showing my face. But then what does that do on your end for captions as I'm talking? If captions are enabled and I've recorded this, and then I'm going to have captions displayed for this, people can't see my mouth and my entire face while captions are being displayed. Be mindful of where the video is. Also, avoid a lot of motion while you're going through a session. So I used to be pretty good for this too while I was in a meeting. Persons who are deaf are more prone to vestibular I don't know if it's disease, but vestibular illnesses than other people. That makes them more susceptible to like vertigo when there's a lot of motion happening. That can hold true for how people present themselves during a live presentation or recorded session. And it's also true for avoiding blinking and moving content. A lot of, transition pieces in a PowerPoint presentation that's recorded or shared during in-class or live presentations can present problems. Has anybody ever had that sort of feeling of vertigo before? Well, it's really disorienting. Use good lighting. Make sure that lighting is good so that if a person is relying on, in part or in full, reading lips and expression, then we want to make sure that can be seen. A lot of, especially the deaf community, expression is a big part of the language that makes the conversation, really. So a different expression with one thing can mean something totally different when the expression changes. Speak clearly. I do try during presentations to speak clearly, enunciate, and I try to speak more slowly. And that is so that captions are captured as closely to what I'm saying as possible, because the transcript will automatically put in sentences. So if my conversation is just running one sentence into another, there's more chance of problems there with the caption accurately transcribing what I'm saying. And then we're going to have a great big long paragraph in the transcript that people have to read through the whole thing to figure out what the paragraph was about, right? So correct errors, real time. So here is something, and this is where the National Deaf Center believes only in human edited content, captions, because if mistakes are made during speech in transcribing in ASR, if it doesn't recognize words, especially true of technical courses, pharmaceutical courses, courses that use different lingo, the ASR may not accurately capture what is being heard. As an instructor and an instructor using language that may not be as common, someone that has an accent that may not be accurately transcribed, it's a good practice to watch the caption as it's being captured. And if there is an error, to correct that as you're going through. Now, you can't correct that in the caption, but you can say, I can see that wasn't captured accurately. That should be, and then carry on from there. And then, of course, always edit the text, right? Define new terms, vocabulary, acronyms, and jargon for those reasons as well. But if you have any questions, please let me know.